There's nothing quite like the fear of standing in front of a crowd with all eyes on you. Your palms sweat, your mouth goes dry, and suddenly every word you plan to say vanishes from your mind. That's what happened to Jake. Jake was 26 years old and had just landed his first real job after finishing university. He worked in a marketing company and was bright, creative, and full of fresh ideas. But there was just one problem. Jake was terrified of speaking in front of people. Even if it was just a meeting with a few co-workers, he'd feel his heart race. His voice would shake, his hands would tremble, and he'd sit there hoping no one would call on him to share his opinion, even though he had so much to say. This fear followed Jake everywhere. He avoided eye contact in meetings, turned down opportunities to present projects, and even skipped work events when he thought he might be asked to speak. He began to think of himself as shy, awkward, and not meant for leadership. And slowly, he started to believe that he just wasn't the kind of person who could ever be confident. But here's the thing. Jake wasn't born lacking confidence. He had simply learned to think of himself that way. And that belief, more than anything else, was holding him back. What Jake didn't know at the time was that confidence isn't something you either have or don't have. It's something you can build. And the unexpected secret, it's all about the way you think, your thoughts, your beliefs, and the stories you tell yourself every day. That's where cognitive behavioral thinking comes in. CBT is a powerful psychological tool that focuses on changing the way we think so we can change the way we feel and act. And for people like Jake, it can be a life-changing way to increase self-confidence, especially in scary situations like public speaking. One afternoon, after a painful meeting where he had completely frozen during a team presentation, Jake had enough. He Googled how to increase self-confidence when talking in front of people and came across an article about CBT. It talked about how our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors are all connected. Negative thoughts can lead to low confidence and bad behavior patterns. But if you can learn to change those thoughts, you can change everything else too. That night, Jake decided to give it a try. He started by writing down the thoughts that ran through his mind every time he had to speak in front of others. They were things like, "Everyone will think I'm stupid. I'm going to mess up. I don't belong here. I'm not good enough." These thoughts came up so fast that they felt automatic, but Jake learned that these were cognitive distortions, unhelpful, inaccurate thoughts that didn't reflect reality. And CBT gave him the tools to challenge those thoughts. Instead of just accepting those beliefs, Jake started to talk back to them. He'd ask himself, "Is there any real proof that people think I'm stupid? Haven't I done well before in private conversations? What would I say to a friend who felt like this?" Slowly, he started replacing his negative thoughts with more balanced ones, like, "I might be nervous, but that doesn't mean I'll fail. It's okay to make mistakes. Everyone does. I'm still learning, and that's okay." And over time, something amazing happened. He started to believe those thoughts. Research backs this up. A 2016 study published in the journal Cognitive Therapy and Research found that people who used CBT techniques showed a significant increase in self-confidence over time. They weren't born confident. They trained their brains to think differently. As psychologist Dr. David Burns, a pioneer in CBT, said, "You feel the way you think. If you think you're going to fail, your body and behavior will follow. But if you shift that thought, even just a little, your confidence starts to grow." With this new mindset, Jake began to take small steps. The next time there was a meeting, he forced himself to speak up once, just one comment. His voice still shook, but he did it. And when no one laughed or judged him, he realized something important. His fears weren't based on reality. They were just thoughts, and thoughts can change. He kept practicing. He rehearsed what he wanted to say out loud the night before. He'd visualize himself standing confidently, speaking clearly. He stopped aiming for perfection and started focusing on progress. And every time he succeeded, even in a small way, he wrote it down. That way, the next time doubt crept in, he had real proof that he was capable. Another important part of CBT is behavior. When you avoid something scary, like public speaking, you're teaching your brain that it's dangerous. But when you face it, even in small doses, your brain starts to realize it's not so bad after all. So Jake began volunteering to present small updates in meetings. Then he led a brainstorming session. And 6 months later, he gave a 15-minute presentation in front of the whole department. Was he nervous? Of course, but he didn't let that stop him. And when it was over, he was proud, not just because he spoke well, but because he fought through the fear. One day, his manager pulled him aside and said, "You've really grown. You're becoming a leader." Those words meant everything to Jake. Not because he needed external validation, but because they confirmed what he was starting to believe about himself. Jake's story shows something powerful. Self-confidence isn't magic. It's a mindset. It's not about being fearless. It's about choosing to act in spite of fear. And it's something anyone can build. You don't need to be naturally outgoing. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be willing to look at your thoughts and challenge the ones that are holding you back. So if you're like Jake, if the thought of speaking in front of a crowd makes your heart race, know that you're not alone. And know that you don't have to live like this forever. Start with your thoughts. Write them down. Examine them. Talk back to them. Ask yourself if they're really true. Then take one small step forward. Say one sentence in the next meeting. Practice in front of a mirror. Visualize yourself succeeding. And celebrate every little win. Don't wait until you feel confident. Confidence comes after the action, not before. The more you show up, the more your brain learns, "I can do this." As philosopher William James once said, "Do something every day that you do not want to do. This is the golden rule for acquiring the habit of doing your duty without pain." Push past the resistance. Step into the discomfort and keep going. Because confidence isn't built in a day. It's built in the tiny decisions you make every single day to show up for yourself, even when it's hard, even when you're scared. And one day, you'll look back and realize you became the person you once thought you could never be. You are stronger than your doubt, braver than your fear, and more capable than you've ever imagined. Don't wait to feel confident. Go out and build it. The world needs your voice. Speak it out loud.